This lecture is going to be a very interesting one because we are going to create our first sketch which is completely constrained. Let us open a new file. We'll click on this new and we'll select part here, click on OK. Now we are inside the 3D modeling application of Creo. We want to get inside the sketcher interface of Creo. So for that we will select the sketch icon and we'll select this plane. Click on sketch and we'll select this icon which is orient sketch. Now we are inside the 2D plane of the sketcher. Here we are going to develop a fully constrained geometry of a rectangle. We'll give the dimension of the rectangle as 100 into 50. Now we have already seen how to create lines. So let us create 4 lines and we will generate the rectangle. Click on line and we will select a point maybe somewhere here and a point maybe here, a point here, maybe a point here, and we'll select a point somewhere here. Press on the escape key to exit from the command and you can see some numbers have come. These are the dimensions. These are all a part of the dimensional constraining. Now definitely this figure doesn't look like a rectangle. So in order to create a rectangle, we have to give the constraints. Here the very first constraint that I am going to give is I want to close this sketch so that it will be a quadrilateral. So for that I need to coincide this point with this endpoint. For that we are going to use the coincidence constraint. Here this is the geometrical constraint and coincident is a geometrical constraint. So I'll use this icon which is coincident. Click on coincident. Just select this point and select this point and you can see the sketch is completely closed, which is visually displayed by using this pink color. If this pink color filling is there inside any sketch, that means it is completely closed. Now let us go for giving the other constraint. Here you can see these are all the dimensional constraints. All the numbers that you see are the dimensional constraints. First let us give the geometrical constraints. Then we'll move on to the dimensional constraints. Of course it doesn't look like a rectangle because in rectangle this has to be vertical, this is horizontal, this also should be vertical and this should be horizontal. So first let us give the vertical constraint to this line. For that we will use this icon which is the vertical icon. Click on vertical and when you select this line, immediately the vertical constraint is getting used for this line, which is displayed by this symbol. You can see this symbol indicates this is a vertical constraint that has been given to this line. Now we'll select this icon which is horizontal icon and we'll select this line so that it will become horizontal. And you can see this symbol. This is horizontal constraint symbol. Now let us go for creating another constraint which is perpendicular. We want to make these two lines perpendicular. So let us go for perpendicular constraint, which is this icon. Click on perpendicular constraint, select this line and this line, and you can see both of them have been given a constraint perpendicular, which is indicated by this symbol. Now let us go for creating these two as parallel. For that we will use this icon which is parallel. Click on it, select this line and this line, and you can see it looks something like a rectangle. Now press on the escape key to exit from the constraints command and let us give the dimensions. Here if you see, some auto dimensions have been given. These are the auto dimensions that have been given. We can give the dimensions automatically and also we can give it manually. In Creo, when you create a geometry, automatically the dimensions get generated. You can use the auto dimensions or you can also create your new ones. Let us use two of the auto dimensions, which is this length. I'll just double click this and type 100. Press on the enter key because we want to create 100 into 50 rectangle. You can see this is 100 and this we want to give as 50. Enter. You can see the rectangle has been made. Now there is one more thing that we have to know in Creo. If I move this line by using the left click, I'll press the left click and keep and move the mouse. You can see this dimension is changing. I'll use Ctrl plus Z key to undo. Now, if I don't want this 50 to change, I'll just select this and lock this dimension. Now what will happen is, you can see the 50 doesn't change. The dimension is locked. Now, if you want the same thing for this 100, you can do it. Just select it and lock. If you move, the 100 will also not change. Now, why does it move? As we have already given the dimensional constraints and the geometrical constraints, still the object moves. Because for final constraining, you have to give the reference with the datum coordinate system, which is this X, Y and Z. This is the datum coordinate system represented by this line and this line. This is the x-axis and this is the y-axis or the z-axis. This is one axis and this is another axis. So you have to give the reference with these two axes. For that, you can see these two dimensions have been given. But we don't want that dimension. I want to keep this origin in this center. So for that, I'll give some manual dimensions. You can also move this and keep, but let us give the manual dimensions so that we will see how to give the manual dimensions. I'll click on this dimensioning. This is the dimensional constraints. I'll click on dimension. I'll select this line and select this axis. And I'll click on the middle mouse button. And you can see the dimension has been given. We'll give a dimension to this as 50, enter 50. So the object is symmetric about this axis. Similarly, I want to keep the object symmetric about this axis. So what I'll do? I'll take dimension again. I'll select this line and this axis and press the mouse middle button. You can see a dimension has been given. And here we will give half of 50. So 25. 25, enter. And you can see here, our figure is completely constrained. Now press on the escape key to exit from the dimensional constraints. Let us move this line. Of course, this line will change and also this also will change because we have not locked it. Press on the Ctrl plus Z key to undo and select this dimension, lock, select this dimension and lock. If you move this, you can see it doesn't move. So what it means is this object is completely constrained. So we have created in this lecture a completely constrained rectangle of 100 mm into 50 mm.